A very good morning to you and welcome to your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Ozong. It's a weekend edition of the program. Although Bukola said I didn't dress down today, so I'm supposed to dress. I don't even know what I put on. I just woke up. I just threw anything on my body and raced down. Let's get the show going. Good morning, and I hope you're hanging it there as much as you can. We know things are quite difficult. Perhaps you don't have light in your area. Well, should I say bear with us? No, I'm not the cause.
You're not the TCN.
Bear with the
Neither
government.
are you the Minister of Power.
Not at all. I am only here to report to them what is going to happen and has been happening. My name is Jeffrey Uzawa. Thank you for coming on the program.
And we hope indeed that you're hanging in there despite all of the many challenges that we have to go through. And speaking of which, there's appeal by the federal government for Nigerians to be understanding. A familiar tune, I'm sure you would say, according to the Minister of Finance, the crude oil sale in Naira as instructed or approved by the federal government is beginning to yield result. Well, we're still waiting for the result in tangible terms for Nigerians. In tangible terms would mean affordability of goods and services, and especially food that Nigerians spend quite a lot of their money on, which is gradually becoming, out of the reach of the common man now. Yes, something as significant as food. But there are other stories also to worry about, Jeffrey, this morning. The revelation by the Director of Defense Media Operation that a new terror group, has sprung up in Nigeria's north, and it was as a result of, the incursion from neighboring country Niger, where there was a coup not too long ago, and that is pretty worrying. That also, in addition to a report from Niger State that some youths are working in cahoots with bandits to cause unrest. So there's still a lot of work to be done as far as security is concerned. When it seems as if we've made some progress with trial and prosecution and arrests of bandits in many parts of the north, there's also a new and emerging security threat. And of course, the security operatives have their work cut out for them, Jeffrey. What's
just to piggyback?
What's strong for you?
What's to piggyback? Well, Honorable Minister of Finance, he has to say what he has to say, because there are numbers he's looking at when it comes to macroeconomic indicators. So when he looks at the things like debt servicing that has reduced in terms of debt service to ratio that used to be 90-something% to 60-something%. And then he looks at the volatile hot money coming in, plus other macroeconomic indicators. On his end, he's going to say, well, things are going well, but the truth is that on the streets, in reality, people are not feeling the impact of what is happening. I understand some of the things he's saying, but what Nigerians want to see is their personal experience and maybe a little bit of a timeline, which is most economists and even the government, they are really scared of doing, to be able to say, let's give you 5 years. In 5 years, these are some of the plus and minus we expect you to experience this. Because if things are so expensive and wages are not increasing to meet up the skyrocketing prices of commodity and services, then it's just a waste of time. It's just big grammar. There has to be a strong coordination between the fiscal and monetary authority to be able to reposition the financial or economic fortunes of Nigeria, which we need to see. This ad hoc, palliative, short-term, knee-jerk sometime approach to throwing money around and all of that is not going to do anybody any good. That is not how to build an economy. In fact, you can't even build an economy with so much taxes at the end of the day. You just can optimize the taxes. Production. Productivity. I'm going to say that until we start being productive as a country, whatever the federal government is doing, whatever the monetary authority or the fiscal authority is doing, it's just going to be a waste of our time. And when I talk about productivity, I always look at the very basic one, which is what I call our cash cow. We all know crude oil. Can we just ramp up production of crude oil? Why can't we produce 2 million barrels? Why can't we get the right set of investment? What do we need to do in terms of urgency to bring the right investors to come into that sector so production can be ramped up? From there, we can head to agriculture. How much of that is ongoing in terms of the subnational level? Because at this one, you cannot just call the federal government, the subnational level and all of that. Some of them are heavily dependent on federal allocation. Places like Bayelsa and some of the South state and some of the Southeast state, highly dependent to the tune of maybe 70 to 90%. So whatever the Minister of Finance is saying, I just listen as, okay, next. All I want to hear is the level of productivity and production as far as Nigeria is concerned. Until we begin to see those numbers increase, rise, it's a waste of our time. So when they bring out the report, the MBS, for instance, of our trade, import and export, we throw in this money illusion thing because of the terrible state of our naira. But what we're looking for is how we can diversify. First, produce the crude as much as we can. Use that money to diversify. We're still dependent on crude for over 70% of our foreign exchange earnings. And what are we talking about? And you're saying we should be patient. No, we cannot be patient. We want to see production, and then cutting down the cost of governance aggressively. I feel, this is my thinking, I feel that Nigerians are angry because the level of aggression they want to see in terms of how the government conducts itself and its affairs and build the economy, they are not seeing it. Besides that drastic removal of fuel subsidy and what do you call it now, floating of the naira, which impacts more on the poor people. Anyway, I didn't come to rant. It's a Friday.
Speaking of throwing money at things, I'm not an expert at figures, but high on accountability nonetheless. We could piggyback on last year at the onset of the administration where some monies were approved to state governments, 5 billion naira, I believe. But what we were told was that 3 billion naira was released at the first instance. Has the 2 billion naira balance been released to the state governments? What are the discernible impacts of the release of that funds, to tackle the immediate impact of the removal of fuel subsidy on states of the Federation? There's also been an approval of about 500 billion naira under the National Household and Reconstruction Program of the federal government. What's the accountability factor in the release of these funds? I believe it's the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction that would be managing it. So what's the feedback on the disbursement of funds? 75 billion naira was approved last year for the purchase of CNG buses to states of the Federation. According to our most recent checks, CNG buses have only been deployed to about 3 or 4 states: Kwara, Ogun, Kogi, and Ekiti states. We're not seeing the deployment of CNG in other states of the Federation. Nigerians are waiting for the promised initiatives by the federal government that will cushion the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy. Because the price of petrol continues to increase, and it's not waiting for those initiatives to kick in, and Nigerians are groaning beneath the weight of government policy on multiple fronts. So these are the real issues. The need for accountability in the release of these funds at the federal government level and at the state government level. And when the federal government continues to ask Nigerians to be patient, to tighten their belt, to make sacrifices, what is the evidence from the elected officials and appointed that they're leading by example? These are the issues, Jeffrey.
Yeah, so we'll get to the very conversation for the day. But just to add to that, without begging the issue, let's be careful, especially those of us in government. I mean, because it's all our country. You're serving on our behalf. For the fact that things are going well for you, to not use that as a reality for everybody, because there's that temptation at the end of the day that things are going well for an individual, and now feel that that is reflective of what is going on everywhere. Then you're not a leader at all. So when you see things from your level, that you don't have any business being in leadership. Bukola, Let's see what we have today on the program, Bukola.
Yes, we have quite a lot. We begin with the presidency allaying fears on the safety of compressed natural gas. And this comes, amid that announcement by Malaysia that it will be beginning a phase out of its own CNG program following concerns of safety for road users. So what are the implications of that, particularly on the psyche of Nigerians that are considering whether to transit to CNG from petrol or not, but especially those Nigerians who have now parked their vehicles because they're unable to afford petrol?
Well, we are going to be as light as possible today on the program. So, a gentleman from the city of Port Harcourt joins us. His name is Danny Spry, and is a unique man. Let me put it that way. When he comes on the program, you will understand what we're talking about, his uniqueness. Funny, and he uses himself or teases himself a lot when it comes to his comedy. He joins us on the very softer side of things. And we have two sub, Bukola.
Indeed.
Yes, the next one.
And the next one is, a chat with a Nigerian who I call a reincarnate of country music. Maybe it's the Jim Reeve version of country music that you would use to describe him. But through and through, you think he's from Southern America. And of course, has been able to recreate country music in its most authentic form. Ochiora Okogori, also known as Countryman, joins us today on the program to serenade us with country music.
So brace up, it's going to be music, it's going to be comedy, and it's going to be everything. But don't forget, join us via social media. Drop your comments there on X. That's our social media of choice. CTV Morning Brief is a hashtag. And let's have this conversation. It's Friday, so let's just take it easy and roll the munch. I know you don't have light. I'm sorry. I don't even know how you're watching us.
But if you have been able to charge your phones to an extent, of course, you can join us on YouTube.
Don't worry. Even the Minister of Power carries power bank. So, well, take a quick break.
That. But before we take a break, Jeffrey, you forgot to also add that we'll be touching briefly on that Trump conversation this morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're watching Americans as well. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll bring you our top stories. Join us again.
Welcome back. And top on the brief this morning, the Defense Headquarters has confirmed the emergence of a new terror group known as Lukarawas in the northwestern states of Sokoto and Kebbi. Addressing a news conference in Abuja on Thursday, the Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says the new group is aggravating insecurity in the northwest region, but he assures that the armed forces are containing them. The military also declared 9 terrorists wanted for their roles in the security challenges plaguing the country.
Troops are confronted with a new terrorist sect in the northwest. This sect is known as Lakurawa. The Lakurawas are affiliated to terrorists from the Sahel, particularly from Mali and Niger republics. They began incursion into northwestern part of Nigeria, namely Sokoto and Kebbi states. And like I mentioned, they came in from Niger and the Mali axis. Now, why are we seeing this at this time? This came as a result of the coup that took place in Niger Republic. Winning this war without the support of the people is close to impossible. When those people came in, the citizens welcomed them. They did not report them. They thought they were saints. Until they now had a grip of them and started doing funny things with them.
Now, the presidency has insisted that the compressed natural gas initiative is a safer and more affordable alternative to petrol. The special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, posted on his X handle to allay fears among Nigerians following a report that the Malaysian government is planning to phase out natural gas-powered vehicles by July 2025. In his post, Mr. Ononuga clarified that the Malaysian issue speaks more to the safety of LPG, not safety of CNG. And he says Malaysia's transition away from costly, dirtier petrol and diesel was unsuccessful, like that of India, China, Iran, and Egypt. Away from that, the federal government says it appreciates the endurance of Nigerians on the side effects of its economic reforms, which, according to the federal government, have started yielding results. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, stated this during an interactive session with the Senate Committee on Finance. According to Mr. Edun, teething problems from the reforms are over for Nigerians, as positive indicators for better days are already emerging. The Transmission Company of Nigeria has identified a sudden rise in frequency from 50.33 Hz to 51.44 Hz as the cause of the latest national grid collapse. A statement by TCN spokesperson, Mr. Ndidimba, notes that disturbances at the grid a second in the space of 3 days started at approximately 11:29 a.m. on Thursday morning, and recovery efforts began immediately, which led to the restoration of the Abuja axis. The TCN further disclosed that the frequency spike was caused by issues encountered at a substation which had to be shut down to prevent further complications, and noted that it is actively engaged in significant repair work on several critical transmission lines and substations. And now to politics. Ahead of the Ondo State governorship election, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, is urging political parties and their candidates to honor the peace accord slated for Friday, November 8. Professor Yakubu made the call in Akure during a stakeholder meeting 9 days to the election. He also urged political stakeholders to abide by the rules and regulations of the peace accord. And in business, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has denied dealing with adulterated petrol. In a statement by the NNPCL's Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Mr. Olufemi Shoneye, he says the NNPCL adheres to rigorous standards and quality control measures at every stage in its operations to ensure that only high-quality, safe and reliable petroleum products are available at its stations nationwide. And on the foreign scene, the Iranian government has described Donald Trump's victory in the U.S. presidential election as an opportunity for the United States to reassess its past wrong policies. Mr. Trump, who is set to return to the White House in January after defeating U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris in Tuesday's election, had pursued a maximum pressure strategy on Iran during his first term. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, Ismail Baghei, notes that the Asian country have had bitter experiences with the policies and approaches of different U.S. governments in the past. And Nigeria and Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen scored a brace in the Turkish side's 3-2 win in the Europa League over Tottenham Hotspur. Osimhen, whose second goal proved to be the decisive strike, continued his scintillating form for the Turkish Super Lig leaders. And that's it on Top Stories this morning. But what are you saying about some of the big stories? Is it about the grid collapsing again the second time in 3 days? Or is it about the efforts of the federal government to improve the economy with the sale of crude oil in Naira? Or what about the other stories coming through also about CNG, of course, which will form part of our conversation this morning? Those very real worries and efforts of the federal government, of course, to allay those fears, particularly through the Presidential Committee on CNG initiative. Let's have your thoughts. So start sending them already. But some of those that we have captured will be reviewed just now, about now, as Jeffrey joins me. Hello again, Jeffrey.
Yes, Bukola, there's a lot to talk about. So let's get straight to business. National grid collapsing. I did say, and I will continue to say, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry. It's just because I have information. And I know a few things about the space. So because we've not done... So
your prophecy came to pass twice.
I'm just telling you again.
Within the space of 3 days, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'm just telling you again that this is not going to be the last. Because those things, those equipment, whatever, they've not been maintained for many years. So it's not just a current government issue. Maintenance has not been carried out. The licensing itself was an issue initially. And then the issue of investments coming in. So there's a lot that sector needs. I'm happy, Mr. Oni, maybe you will speak to that as well. Because he's spoken to this over and over and over. I'm sure that is repeat and rinse for the gentleman. But we can't stop talking. It's our country. But just to let you know, let's highlight some of the things you're saying, but be prepared because we're going to say this yet again.
No, but the explanation that a rise in power generation could cause the collapse twice within the space of 3 days.
There's an issue that we can generate.
I'm not a power expert. Maybe Mr. Oni will speak to that.
There are different layers to the problem. There's the issue of it collapsing. There's the issue of it after when it generates. To off-take it is also another problem.
Right.
So, anyway. Ms. Oni is here to, although that's not what we brought him for, but he's going to speak to it as well. Humphrey Obajare says, this is actually a sign, and I hope the government is taking it seriously because of, at this rate, there's certainly be a time where the national grid will collapse and may never recover. You can't have a machine and car breaking down maybe every 2 AK market days or 2 market days. That's what he wanted to say.
All right,
we just have to laugh off, man.
Richard Sunshine says, honestly, I'm pained to see we're still struggling to keep a stable power supply in 2024. We pay taxes, VAT, and we pay for electricity tariffs. So tell me, why are we not enjoying what we're paying for?
Mohammed Amin Saad says, this has clearly gotten out of control. And it's disingenuous to continue to blame the discourse that they reject the produced power. That's why there's collapse. Can't the grid be regionalized so that collapses could be restricted, even localized, and the whole perhaps you wanted to say the whole country not having power.
And Alhaji Miss Baudin Adeni Sanusi says, at this rate, the government, through the Security Intelligence Unit, should start looking in the direction of a possible sabotage from within, especially the system operator unit of the TCN.
Well, they didn't say there was, the last time it was vandalization. This time, they didn't mention that. The last person on this says, Hardy Topman, that's your name. They need to find a lasting solution to this national grid issue. There's money now. Oh, really? I wasn't aware. We pay higher electricity tariff. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Subsidy is gone, which means more money for the government. And lots of taxes upward review. What then is stopping the government from fixing this national grid? So, on the issue of subsidy, NNPCL pays our shortfall. And because they pay our shortfall, they don't remit money to our federation account because, there's an explanation to that effect. I'm just explaining to you what you may not be aware of.
Well, they're talking about power this time around.
No, the argument for him is that we're not paying subsidy, so use that money. They've increased tariff, so use that money. He gave a very good point.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I'm just explaining his position. That it's not every time NNPC gives us money. I can't remember the last time. I think. Anyway, we'll talk about
the
that.
National Assembly should go after that space and see what should be remitted that is not being remitted. They
defray it on the cost of paying for your subsidy.
Do you work for the NNPC now?
I don't know. No, me and NNPC, we're not in the same category.
Okay.
We're not in the same boat.
Let's go to the next talking point now. Discos increase meter prices, and that's another thing that Nigerians have to deal with. They're paying electricity tariff on the one hand, and they're not getting the requisite power supply. And now, those who want to purchase meter have to pay more for it. Okay, so CV Bex says, just what we needed. Another price increase. Fingers crossed the power stays consistent this time. That's the hope.
Okay, Onwuzo Dandison, he said the exponential rise of PPM price. Okay, I don't know what that is. Indeed, is alarming and detrimental to customers.
Prepaid meter.
Okay,
PPM.
Prepaid meter, okay. The regulatory bodies should wade in urgently.
And Yankee Big Boy says, or more. That's an exclamation in local parlance. Imagine 2K for 7 units, something that could get over 25 units a few months back. Let's make progress, Jeffrey. 2K for 7 units, I guess, is reacting to the increase in electricity tariff, not in prepaid meter.
It's band 8%.
Yeah, not to the increase in the cost of prepaid meter.
Yeah, I don't think that is it. Carriage drafts are very expensive and not even available, even after payment, story upon story. Story.
Yeah, and the David Peters says, for a national grid that collapses every 3 days, okay.
Bala, okay, I don't know what that is. What are they doing with the money? Because Nigerians are not feeling the impact of the national grid going on virtually every week. Okay, let's move on from that. So the issue of oil marketers suing Dangote refinery suing them and insisting on petrol import. So this is an argument that is we don't even know how to proceed from here. So let's just read your thoughts. So there this back and forth between Dangote is against them importing PMS. That's what is against. Why are you importing when I have it available, even in store? They are saying for energy security, we can't just depend on you. We need other sources because it's the best price that we'll get. So the argument is, will the best price now mean going outside to buy? Because you're also pushing pressure on our FX that we're trying to reduce. What happens to Port Harcourt refinery? Maybe get those refineries.
Why did Nigerians wait a whole 5 years for Dangote refinery to come on board, and then we still have to continue importing, and we still have to even pay more, because we can't look at it from Dangote's perspective alone. We're paying more even for Dangote's petrol, which is totally unacceptable. So both arguments need to be weighed on their merits and demerits.
Yeah. If we had Port Harcourt refinery or the refineries at the Warri refinery, at least Kaduna is a long walk, but let's just hope we had these 3 or 4 other refineries working. This may not be a conversation. So it's simply saying, Dangote, your own is so expensive. Let's go to Port Harcourt or let's go to Warri. But now it's either you buy Dangote or you
go outside the country.
No, that's not where we are aiming to go to. Importing finished product is not a direction
No,
we
but
should be
that's
going.
where we are.
That's where we are. Yes.
Marketers are still important. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I agree with you. In fact, some cargoes have come. I think they are coming, and it's just a messy situation. Anyway, Adebisi says, I believe if Dangote reduces the price of petrol by 150 naira, the marketers will not need to import. It should please consider Nigerians.
And Dangote, Baya Betty says Dangote can reduce its price and seek cooperation with some filling stations to buy his product. By the way, does anyone know what is happening to the refineries being repaired that were to be completed in September? Jeffrey just answered your question.
just forget about that refinery for now. Any day they say it's ready, but for now, just cautious optimism. That Port Harcourt refinery, I don't want to say something, but just forget about it.
And remember, Jeffrey is the prophet.
Whenever it's ready, we will know. But now, forget that. That's all I can say. Just forget about it for now. When they are ready, we will know. But they are not ready right now.
Jeffrey, please prophesy good things.
Well, unfortunately, I'm a journalist, so I base on facts.
On facts, okay.
So, Oriada Latif Olumide says, indeed, it's the best to encourage local production of any product and reduce the yearning
it meant to say,
and consumption of imported one. But in this case, it's an open market. You can force me to buy the higher price when I can buy. You can't. Is that what you wanted to say? When I can buy the lower price elsewhere, let the customer decide. Okay.
And Peter is asking a rhetorical question that we all ask time and again, and we hope to stop asking. He says, this is completely unfair. How can we as an oil-producing nation still face such challenges? It's not like money is easy to come by, and prices for everything are skyrocketing. What's even more frustrating is that he refused to reveal the price to the public. Well, he has now revealed his price.
Okay, I think let's just get straight to that.
$930 for truck, for ship, $960 for truck. Or no, I think the other way around.
For ship is $960.
Yeah.
For trucks is $990. So maybe we'll just take this very last one. Two of them. Defense headquarters confirming the emergence. You saw it on the news on the top story. They call them Lukarawas. That's the name of the new terrorist.
Lakrawas.
Is it Lakrawas? Okay, I'm sorry. Is it Lakrawas?
I believe that's the way the director of defense media.
We'll get to know, but I hope this can be crushed because we're not done with Boko Haram yet and all the other ones. World Powers says because they saw the wealth of other groups, they decided to break away. If government has dealt with former terrorists, they caught bandits, the new ones wouldn't have tried coming out. But I know Nigerian military is capable of handling them.
Crespo says the right time to end them is now. It's either we clip their wings now or they come out to devour us in years to come. Nigeria will win. Reminiscent of what General Henry Ayola said yesterday, we must adopt a proactive measure rather than a reactive measure by taking the battle to them instead of waiting for attacks to occur.
Absolutely. So, we just pray that our military will be able to sort this out as quickly as possible. But we'll get to the very first conversation for the day. So we're talking about the CNG issue. We're going to go a lot soft today, as we agreed.
Yeah.
Because it's Friday. There's too much trouble across the country. So let's relax a bit. We'll take a quick break. Well, we'll come back. We'll bring the conversations. Join us again.
Stay with us.
we should stop using petrol and diesel, so expensive yet so unreliable, so unsafe, even yet so dirty. That instead, our country being a gas country, that have access to cheap gas, safer gas, cleaner gas, more reliable gas, should move to gas. And that is what the PCNGI is about. Because it is cheaper for you, it is cheaper for the country, it makes Nigerians more competitive. The president has made it clear that we are moving towards a clear gas future.
Findings, there is one uncompleted center around post office area of Ilorin, and I wish that the state government will give adequate support to whoever that holds it, maybe the federal government, maybe the state government themselves. They should just please try as much as possible to see to the completion of that place, so that we in Ilorin can, join others who are enjoying that particular service in other parts of the country.
There are lots of advantages, in using CNG rather than fuel. At least the cost, and then the reduction in emission. I want federal government to establish these CNG centers in so many places of the country, so that Nigerians that have the money to convert their cars, their vehicles to CNG, can go ahead, get it converted and get their fuel, the CNG gases in their cars.
I just want to call on the government to speed up the exercise, because here in Kwara in particular, we had recently that they commissioned the CNG gas station, but it has not been functioning. But it's a very, very welcome development. It's cheap, it's affordable. They should just make it accessible.
Right now, what we are doing is just as the experimental stage. By the time we eventually go full blown, that we have a commercial site in town, and then we also market it, let people be aware that this is what we are doing.
Welcome back. So as we start off on our first conversation, that feature is something that we want you to reflect on, and we'll be going around those states that CNG infrastructure has been reportedly launched to see how well it's doing. And some of our findings from Kwara is what you have just seen. Since the launch of the CNG center in May, not a single gas has been sold, according to our report. But also, Kwara State University is, of course, starting with plans, or has hinted rather about plans to partner with other organizations to invest in CNG infrastructure. So from there, we're going to go to another state. But what are the concerns about CNG safety, particularly, with the report by the Malaysian government that is starting to phase out its own CNG initiative because of concerns of safety for users? Of course, we have Mr. Ayodele Oni, energy lawyer and partner at Bloomgate Law Firm, joining us for that discussion on the program today. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ayodele Oni. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
So before we begin the CNG conversation, let's talk about the power grid collapse, Mr. Oni, and I'm sure that you have quite a few things to share in that regard. I'm particularly curious about the explanation provided by the TCN, which says is what is responsible for this round of grid collapse. It says that a rise in frequency from 50.33 megahertz to 51.44 megahertz is the cause of this collapse. Pray tell how a rise in frequency can cause grid collapse. We're supposed to be experiencing increase in generation. So is this to say that we should prepare for more collapses, Mr. Oni?
Okay, there are several reasons for grid collapses. Some of them are technical. and some of this goes to poor infrastructure. I was having a conversation yesterday around spinning reserves. You know, part of the challenge we have is that typically you should have what they call ancillary services, so that when there is an imbalance or one or two plants go out of service or are de-energized, certain plants that are on reserve kick in immediately. And one of such is supposed to be Zungeru. But the problem is that you have problems across those lines. They're already loaded. We do not have sufficient capacity across the transmission lines, such that if there is a challenge on one line, you cannot immediately get a Zungeru, for example, to come on stream. So it's the same problems we've had, and the fact that this infrastructure is old. You talk about 50 years, 60 years. So until we do a major upgrade, we may still, from time to time, continue to have these challenges. Now, I think the minister has done something quite smart, getting people to, because another thing about Nigeria is that there's a lot of guesswork. There are too many people saying too many things, but you need to get to the root of it. And I'm sure you are aware that a committee was set up and their report was submitted, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday, so that we understand the full dimension, so that we're not hearing lack of EMS today, SCADA tomorrow, low frequency, all of those. So we want to be sure what those challenges are, so that we're not just throwing money at the problem. So for me, it's lack of what we should have done over a long period of time. I'll say one more thing. Between 1987 and about 2016, we did not have any major grid upgrade. Now imagine what the population was in 1987 and what it was in 2016 and what it is now. So if you don't continue to improve or maintain, and we've had this challenge as a country, maintenance culture, if you don't continue to maintain what you have, it will go bad. Tinapa is an example. Obudu Cattle Ranch is an example. So you've got examples everywhere. So, I mean, the answers are staring us in the face. That's what I'll leave it at.
And Mr. Oni, we can't say it enough about the need for greater accountability in the allocation of, finances to the power sector, to be judiciously expended for maintenance if we're not investing in alternative power sources. And maybe one day when we have an opportunity with the Minister of Power, we're going to ask those important questions about what the funds allocated to that ministry in the first place are being used for. But let's go to the CNG conversation now. And of course, the report by the Malaysian government, after it came through that it is planning to phase out CNG, raised concerns about the safety of CNG by Nigerians. And you know that we've had quite a number of incidents in the last 1 year that has further, increased the worry of those who want to transit. But the presidency is saying that the ban on that Malaysia is implementing is more as a result of LPG rather than CNG. But the statement from the Malaysian government is quite clear. Is your fear, if you have any, about CNG is assuaged by the clarification provided by the presidency?
Well, not necessarily. But the point I'd make is there's no such change that won't come with its challenges. Does that mean I would not use my cooking gas at home because there's been a few cases where you've had explosions? Maybe not. Now, the broader question is even the penetration. If Malaysia could only do 0.2%, because I tried to read the original transcript and I did try to convert it to English, right? They said they've only done a 0.2% success. Now, there are reasons for some of this. Then you ask yourself, why haven't they succeeded in places like the US? How many natural gas vehicles do you see in the US? So it's many things. One, consistency of policies, government going all out to encourage people to do it. If I have a vehicle that is brand new, I don't want to tamper with it. And when oil prices go down, people are going to be disinterested. So it's many things. Safety, yes, but I wouldn't say that. I mean, for many of those, they started to do it in 2003. You understand? So if you count, it has a lifespan. Everything does have a lifespan, just like human beings. So maybe they've not succeeded that much. If it's 0.2% conversion, and then you have safety concerns. So why continue? it means people are not interested. That's their own story. Ours may be different, right? But yes,
So,
there may be concerns around those, but I think it's minimal, to be honest.
all right,
If you do
Mr.
it
Oni,
right
you
way,
know, these are
now
clients that,
regulators do what they should do.
okay, these are clients that we learn from most of the time. So I would like to find out from you. They've given us a report in terms of their penetration that was not as successful as they expected. What do you think is responsible that we can learn from? Because what is going on now with some of the isolated incidences we've had with CNG, and then this report from Malaysia is further increasing that conversion hesitancy for Nigerians.
Okay, a few things. I'll take Malaysia. I did look at Malaysia. I did look at the US. You'd recall, I'll start from the US and then go to Malaysia. The US, it was going to take flight in the US about the time you had Trump coming. And fuel prices then went down. And people got disinterested. And also, government didn't do enough to put in infrastructure. And that's a fear I have also with us. Infrastructure, people just weren't interested. Fuel prices aren't crazy, so why should I convert my vehicle? It's a bit expensive. I've got a vehicle and then I need to then convert. I think Honda did produce a Civic with natural gas usage, and people didn't really buy it, and they stopped doing it. So at times, so many factors come together to work against something, and then consistency. Maybe Biden had started and Obama may have started it. Trump got in and didn't see the need. He said, "Drill, baby, drill," and everyone was drilling for oil too, and prices went down. So all of these are things we can learn from. Malaysia too. There wasn't so sufficient interest from the people. They've got good roads, all of that infrastructure. They complained about one insufficient infrastructure, infrastructure for feeding, for buying the CNG itself. And the people who were interested, then people spoke about warranties in their vehicles. Those were challenges for them. So it was more around people not being that interested. And if you have a good transport system, and you're not going to spend so much fueling your vehicle every now and then, you're going to say, why do I want to take the risk? Why do I want to damage my vehicle? I think those are psychological challenges. And human beings by nature do not really like change, particularly where the change is a difficult one. And they have to choose between two evils at times. They just don't want to do it. So that doesn't then mean we won't succeed if government goes all the way. And there's consistency. Government does enough to encourage people from a fiscal standpoint. Government does enough to encourage infrastructure. If you don't have all of this in place, you just find out that people are not interested. If my car is 1 or 2 years old, I'm not going to want to do that. If it's a luxury car, I'm not going to want to do that. So it's probably going to succeed more around public transport, in my own view, than the private sector. I do not know any friend of mine who's converted, for example. So whilst I don't think it will necessarily fail, I think that government needs to do a lot beyond just speaking. They need to encourage people more. They need to give people a reason. And I see some of those being done. Like they say you can pay in installments, you can get it done now, not necessarily finish payment. The question then is we should find out how many people have been onboarded. We need data, we need statistics. All of those help. If you ensure that it's not kept in shrouded in some form of secrecy, then people can begin to see. And part of the challenge we also have in this part of the world is the trust quotient people have in government and in governance. So if once there's a conspiracy theory against any policy government wants to do, more people seem to fall and support that because of the trust quotient over time.
Mr. Oni, I don't know how widespread CNG is, so that I like the optimism you share, and also you've highlighted the issue of the trust quotient. I don't know whether it's unique to Nigeria, given the fact that CNG is not as much around the world like the use of PMS in terms of using of cars and all of that, and it's a bit suspect that even big global economies or the big economies of this world are not aggressively pursuing it. And they are the ones that are preaching energy mix, clean energy. Maybe you can explain what is going on for us here.
Okay. There's also the problem with the electric vehicles. So people will be, rather than do something that is still dirty, cleaner than liquid fuel, they will do electric vehicles, particularly where it's even more expensive than our regular cars. So I think rather than go gas, some have jumped that bus stop and just gone straight to their destination, which is electric vehicle. The competition electric vehicles have brought one, and the fact that you see a lot of support, particularly in the West, for electric vehicles ahead of natural gas. That's one thing. And I've said historically, crude oil prices go up and down. Those periods, my research suggests that those periods where certain countries were trying to push for natural gas vehicles, oil prices went down, and people were like, "Well, it's not too expensive to buy PMS. Why am I then going through the pains?" So I think it's also just been that way. It's just at times coincidences. And you're also right. Infrastructure, and we don't now even see manufacturers. I think one or two manufacturers have tried, and they didn't succeed. Every now and then a new car comes out. People don't get to buy it, and the manufacturer stops to make such vehicles. There was a time, if you remember, Sahara Energy, you'd see those LPG vehicles. I don't see them anymore. If they don't have sufficient infrastructure where you can fuel that vehicle, you're not going to buy it. Every now and then we speak about not having enough cooking gas. The same LPG is cooking gas. I understand that our own policy for cars is LPG. I'm just using that as an example. It's CNG, right? But if you don't have sufficient infrastructure, if oil prices play games in sense that the prices are good, or you have sufficient means of transport, you can go by rail, you can go by sea, you're not going to consider much around changing your vehicle technology or fuel usage. I think those are softer issues we're not considering beyond policies, beyond driving policies, laws, fiscals. The natural human nature too needs to be given due consideration. So I think that's why many countries haven't made much progress. The manufacturers aren't manufacturing those vehicles. There isn't enough push around infrastructure, and people have just felt that we can live with the oil prices as they are.
And in those countries, that you refer to, there's perhaps an abundance of those alternative means of transportation, rail, light rail, maybe water transport. But back here, there is a deficit of it. The inadequacy of it is the challenge, which is why the CNG conversation is still on. But before I go to the next leg of my question, Ms. Oni, who cooks a pot of soup and doesn't eat in it? Shouldn't we be asking questions of federal government agencies, state ministries, the federal government itself about the measure of their own vehicles and facilities that have been converted to CNG, if indeed they're preaching to Nigerians the message of CNG safety?
That's the fun thing, and it goes to the point I made around the trust quotient. One, the trust quotient. Secondly, and I'd like to go back to your analysis around abundance of other means of transportation, and that's why I say it will not necessarily fail in Nigeria, and we can't necessarily say that our case will be what is elsewhere because our own situation is peculiar. But I do also understand, whilst you will criticize a bit, I do also understand that the president at some point said that certain ministries should then begin to use CNG. Now, implementation usually is where things fail in this part of the world, like policies, like laws. You have brilliant people issue policies, think things through, but when it comes to implementation, usually we are not as successful as the quality of the policies themselves. Implementation usually then fails. So, good point. We should then be asking, what's the data available? Like people say, data is the new oil. What's the data available around conversion, around even the presidency, around ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government? Do the ministers' cars use CNG now? Are they in the process? Or are they like, oh, our cars are brand new, under warranty, and we can't do this? Then it becomes a problem. People are still going to go to the trust quotient. You are not using it, and you want us to use it. Particularly people who feel they can still afford fuel prices. And as things improve, I was in Ibadan a few weeks ago, and rather than drive, I will get my driver to take me there and spend a lot on fuel and concerns around security and all of that. I took the train from Lagos to Ibadan, and I took it back later in the day. So when you begin to have those alternatives, you're going to not see a reason to do this, right? Unless, there's something more compelling.
And as we wind down very quickly, I'd like you to respond to this. Maybe you can do that in a minute and a half. We must look critically into what the Malaysian government is saying. According to the country's transport minister, they're citing potential hazards posed by CNG tanks nearing the end of their safe usage lifespan. I'd like you to respond to that. If we consider Malaysia to be a country that, adopts standards in importation of CNG equipment for its vehicles, so if Malaysia is saying this, shouldn't we be worried even about the quality of a CNG infrastructure that we're planning to import into the country, and looking critically into their lifespan before deploying them into the space for Nigerian vehicles to begin to use?
Okay, I did read that statement by Anthony Loke or so. That's the name of the minister, and that's true. We've always had that challenge with regulatory oversight. Without mentioning names, you hear about bad fuel being imported. You hear this sort of things, and then it becomes a challenge if you think gas could even be more dangerous, right? Then it goes to regulation. Are we regulating properly? Are we not just only speaking brilliant policies without ensuring that when the chips are down, we do the right thing? Are we going to ensure that corruption doesn't then mean that the official who is supposed to ensure or enforce standards and quality is not looking elsewhere? Those are questions. If you cannot ensure that people believe that that would be the case, then there's a problem. Because in many cases, we even look up to Malaysia. We say we were better than them in the 80s. Now they are much better. They bought our whether I got palm fronts or whatever from here, and then are producing. So you're right. It's about ensuring that you do not only have standards in the books or in the laws, but the enforcement, and you let the people trust that this enforcement will be done. You see the explosion that happened in Benin, I think. They said they used an LPG tank for what should be CNG. I mean, that's what I did here at that time. So if you begin to have those sort of incidents, you do not have a means to track. The vehicle inspection office doesn't do what it ought to do, then by the time you have one or two incidents, people are not going to want to do it. So beyond stating policy, implementation is a critical point in this part of the world, and enforcing regulations and rules.
All right. We'll continue to ask those very critical questions to inform Nigerians, particularly if they're considering, converting their vehicles. We must thank you very much for your time and contributions to the program. Mr. Ayodele Oni is an energy lawyer and partner at Bloomgate Law Firm. Thank you so much for your time on the program. All right, we'll shift gears now to the next leg of the conversation. Find out what it is after this break. Join us again.
All right, let's do a quick touch on the victory of Donald Trump. November the 6th, he literally won the election, and it was quite quick. But I know there's a gentleman in America, I think he's a lecturer, that had predicted out of the last 10 elections, he had predicted correctly 9 results, just 1 miss. And he also predicted that, Kamala Harris will win this time, but she did not win. But there's a gentleman also in Nigeria, he's a global affairs analyst, Mr. Magnus Onyibe, who had also predicted that Trump will win. So he's joining us via Zoom. Mr. Onyibe, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Nigerians. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're talking about predictions and winning. So let's do this as quickly as we can. What were the parameters you used to predict that Trump will win and eventually he won?
Yes, if you recall, there's a great thinker and expert in American democracy called Francis Fukuyama. In 2014, he wrote a book titled The Decay of Democracy, and that was a book that contained a prediction that at a point in time that democracy as we know it today would decay and there be a change. and people did not see it coming in the form that it has come. People, like the traditional ways. We are always traditional in our thinking. And when the things change, not even abruptly, this change has been coming. The change was on the horizon when Trump, came the first time. And the change has returned after being disrupted. So politics, democracy, the way we have always known it since the founding of America, is likely going to change with Trump. But, as natural human beings, we're always fear change. We're always afraid of change. So the evolution is not being taken lightly. They are not accepting it. A lot of people are not bemused by it. They are befuddled and they are griping and complaining and creating scaremongering scenarios. But, it may be the best for the world.
Okay, Mr. Ayibe didn't answer my question. My question, which is primary reason why we're having this conversation, my question was, you predicted, correct me if I'm wrong, that you will win. What were the parameters you used?
I just told you. I gave you a guardrail. I started by talking about Francis Fukuyama, and I told you about the book he wrote about decay of democracy the way we know it. I told you that he said that there's going to be a change and that there's going to be a new order. And I've just told you that Trump represents that new order.
Ms. Ayibe, that doesn't sound enough like parameters to me. Maybe we're not getting ourselves correctly. Maybe you can help me out here. So I'm thinking that just hold on, sir. Just say, because when we're talking about prediction, we talk about things we can measure, look at empirically to say, because of this measurable parameters, So some people say it's persecution, it's assassination attempt, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris being a woman, the black vote, because we've seen a few things that the white female voters actually voted for Trump when there was a lot of movement for Kamala Harris. Something we can hold on to is what I'm talking about.
Okay, those are I started from the granular. I'm a social scientist, so I look beyond the ephemeral and the headlines, which you're talking about. Yes, those are the final manifestations of what was predicted by this great thinker, all the way in 2014, that there's going to be a change. Yes, of course, in the United States of America, the people who voted for Trump, as I've always said, are people who did not wear their biases or what they were going to do on their sleeves for everybody to see, because the posters were asking questions, and based on the answers that they got, they were able to form their views that it was going to be a dead heat or Kamala was going to win. But the truth is that America remains a society where there's a lot of division, there's a lot of class issues, there's a lot of fear between different sects of people. The Caucasians, the blacks, the African Americans, and those around. And this whole thing eventually ended up being kitchen table issues, which is with respect to inflation, food affordability, and homes and stuff like that, and also being an immigration thing. The immigration virus is going around the world generally. As I wrote in my column last week, it is very clear that, the world, people, human beings don't like strangers in their midst, especially when they suspect that they have come to take their jobs. And somebody like Trump kept emphasizing it, that Americans did not want illegal immigrants. People would like to refer to them as undocumented immigrants. From my point of view, a lot of Americans were behind him in that thought, but they were not expressing it because they wanted to be correct politically.
All right. Since we're talking about prediction, I want to piggyback on what occurred in 2020 when a section of the U.S. Republicans who are known to be evangelicals were also high on predictions, more using the word more specifically now, prophecies that Donald Trump was going to win in 2020. and he in fact lost the election. But it appears as if there was only a delay of 4 years of their prophecy to come to pass. I'd like you to speak to that, particularly to the contradiction of his victory as against what the person of Donald Trump himself represents. There's been a lot of criticism about him, eroding the democratic culture in America, about what his own kind of masculinity represents, toxicity, and a looking down of sorts on values of gender issues and all of that. I'd like you to speak to that contradiction.
Okay, you should take him first, Abibu. Okay.
Yes. Your point is taken, but the fact is that I decided not to look at things from those kind of base and banner point of view about what the evangelicals are saying, or about the feelings on the street, and about the biases expressed and propagated by the media. Like I said, there's no empire that lasts forever. There's no concept that stays there forever. Change is in the horizon. And, as far as I'm concerned, based on my study of the situation, Trump seems to be the change. Because think about it. Everything was thrown at Trump. Everything that is possible. They tried to impeach him, they failed. They tried to jail him, they failed. They tried to kill him, they failed. And he remained. The American people are the ones who voted for him, not aliens. They suspected that the Chinese were going to do something about it, or the Russians were going to tweak with the system. None of that happened. Even Biden himself, the Democratic Party people themselves have agreed that this was a fair election. He won fair and square. So this is the feelings of Americans. This is who Americans deserve or desire or sought to get as their president, based on what they understand about him. And if you recall, the people who really voted him are people in rural America, not much of city people. And also, I think he shocked a lot of people because the Hispanics also voted for him, and they were trying to skew the situation in such a way, that the Hispanics will go against him, especially if you remember what they said about the Madison Square Garden campaign that he had. He wasn't the person who made the slur statement about Puerto Ricans, but he was now slanted to smear him, but unfortunately, it didn't stick.
All right, I think the gentleman I was trying to remember was Alan Lichman. I must thank you so much.
Yes.
Mr. Magnus Onyibe, Global Affairs Analyst. We just need to have your take on this particular one. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, let's get to the softer side of things. We did say that today we're going to be as light as possible. So we have a comedian. Danny Spry is his name. He's a unique guy. I also have a country music. Bukola calls him African country music performer. You will know why just in a moment. Join us again. So those are the two sides of conversation and performances we have. Join us again.
lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? You fill my heart with gladness. You take away all my sadness. You ease my troubles, that's what you do. There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and it's mine like the sun. And at the end of the day, we should give thanks and pray to the one, to the one. Oh, have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? You fill my heart with gladness. You take away all my sadness. You ease my troubles, that's what you do. You fill my heart with gladness. You take away all my sadness. And you ease my troubles.
Welcome back. And so it's Friday, easy peasy Friday. No stress, no worries, and we're set to be serenaded. So what you just saw is by a Nigerian. Is certainly not someone that dropped from Southern America, as I thought when I first chanced upon him. He is Ochoira or Kogori. Hello, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you.
Well, it's such a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to be here again, you know. I mean, it's such an honor.
Yeah, it is for us as well. So, you are a Nigerian.
100%.
100%. But you look like you came from Southern America.
Well, I think that's a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
So,
Texas Cowboys.
One of the first few questions I resolved to ask you is, how did you acquire the expertise, or how long did it take you to study country music for you to arrive to this level of, dexterity in your performance?
Wow. Now, it seems like it's one kind of elaborate thing I did. I didn't really, I mean, I just liked it. I just liked it, and I was playing the guitar and singing, and I was given the gift. You know, I like to think of it as a gift. You know, so I don't really know. You see, I don't know. It's just I can do it.
It feels to me like you like to perform more than talk. So we're going to get to that performance, but just a moment. Let's talk about your musical influences. So I know that off the top of my head, we have guys like Kenny Rogers that have been doing all of the Jim Reeves and the rest of that. So who are the guys you actually listen to that influenced you?
Okay, well, you know, my Mount Rushmore, you know, the four guys, my fathers, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Don Williams, and Kenny Rogers. You know, those guys are my main influences. I would say they taught me everything I know about country music, the way I sing it, the way I talk, even how I interact during interviews. You know, so yeah, it was a kind of subconscious.
How long ago did you start following them? Like when you were 5? Or?
Well, the thing is, when I was growing up, my dad used to play a lot of country songs. I didn't like it then, though.
Okay.
You know, but it kind of seeped into my subconscious. And back in 2013, I got my first guitar, and then I was playing other songs, and I think in 2015, 2016, I started doing country, but I was in the choir. You know, I used to sing bass, so it was a very easy transition.
I can remember. You know, it's more like what we used to hear when it comes to country music that time. When your father has to turn on the radio on Saturday morning, so are those the kind of things you listen to
right now?
No. I'm trying to walk back to how you got influenced into country music.
My dad had a marvelous taste in music. You know, it was a wide array of genres. You know, so sometimes he did country, sometimes he did classical, sometimes he did jazz, and sometimes he did high life. You know, so
it was really deep, man.
Yeah, no, my dad is is something else.
Was he a performer as well?
Yeah.
No. My dad is an academic.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Dad.
Yeah.
Hello, Dad. Okay, so is it a thing of worry for you that country music is not the thing, quote unquote, in Nigeria here? Afrobeat is more the thing, or maybe contemporary high life, even if we did high life at all. So is it a worry for you that there isn't that market for country music?
No, it's not. Not a worry for me. I mean, I do it. I like it, and I'm doing it. And the thing is, I was talking to my friend because I live on the island, so I had to crash on the mainland. So I came with my friend Zadok, and he does soul kind of music, and we were talking about how it's kind of easier for you when you have a niche, and because like Afro, you say Afro is overpopulated, and there are so many Afro artists and a lot of people with the talent, So when you have a niche, when you have something you're doing, you stand out, and you just it's kind of easier. You put in a lot of work, but it's easier at the end of the day
to be identified.
To be identified.
So how much? Because sorry, I didn't know you were coming. So how much support are you getting in terms of invitation for performances? And what kind of shows do you do? Do you have your own maybe bar you go to perform? What exactly? How do you?
Well, the thing is, this is all I do. So I go for shows and I get paid, and I'm but I get invites, a lot of invites. I go for okay.
Say it.
So it depends. The kind of people who like my music are I would like to say
elites.
Yes.
They're not the Gen Z.
Yes, the elites, and
that's good for you. It means
yes, it
means
yes,
good money.
Good money,
and they can pay for it. You understand? So because yeah.
Okay,
we don't know what you're saying.
Tell us about
we don't know
kinds of gatherings where countryman, we call it countryman here.
Well, the thing is,
can be found performing.
The thing is, I go for different shows. I go for festivals. I go for concerts. Different. I mean, I've been in a lot of comedy specials. I've been in a lot of other artists invite me to perform for their shows, dinners, end of year parties, and stuff like that. So, I mean, basically everything, everywhere, every kind of festival you can find. I can perform. I can do festival performance. I can do dinner kind of performance. I can come with my band and I can hold the show for 1 hour, 2 hours. Just doing this thing, and I can do 15 minutes on the grand stage. That kind of thing. So it's basically just awesome. It's not. I don't know. I know the way you're thinking about it. You're looking at the Afro and you're looking at the country and the disparity between the two.
Not exactly. We're just okay. Bukola, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Another thing that I'd like you to talk to us about is your own compositions. Yes, you've told us about the Kenny Rogers influence, the Don Williams influence, but I've also listened to one of your songs, and there's a strong faith component of it as well, and it's so beautiful and original. I'm hoping you're going to perform that one for us. But before we hear that, let's enjoy one of your performances.
Lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me up forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Just set me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western sky. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. Can't look at hovels and
against fences don't fence me. Okay, so
which one are you performing for the audience?
For most of my gigs, there are particular songs that I always do.
Okay.
And one of them is one of my favorites is "Gambler" by Kenny Rogers.
Okay.
Okay, so it goes like this. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind the saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'd give you some advice. All you got to know when you're holding, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Every gambler knows the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. Oh, you gotta know when to hold it, know when to fold it, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count when the dealing's done.
I could just sit here and just play all the way to the end of the show.
That's one of my favorites. So I kind of stripped that down. I made it compact a bit.
We promised the audience that it's going to be a lot of chill, cool day for us right here on the show. So you're going to sing low. So I hope you came with a lot of whatever.
Yeah, I have a great a large repertoire.
So before you do your next performance, how long does it take you to score some of these songs? How difficult and how easy is it?
Well, scoring the songs. Well, I play by ear, so I listen to a song and I can hear the progression. And how I score it, I listen to it over and over again. Okay. So I internalize the songs. I don't like to read the lyrics and all that. I like to internalize the song, and it takes about 2 to 3 days. But to play it, playing it comes very easy to me. The guitar is my main instrument, so I can basically play any song. The structure. I can maybe not the intricate parts, but I can play any song I hear. So scoring a song is just basically I just want to get the feel of the song, and once I can do that, then it comes very easy. So I don't know, maybe 3 days, I guess.
Okay, so you were going to talk to us about your own original compositions that I asked about earlier.
Okay. So I have an EP and I have a single. I have a single, Lona in Limbo. I think that I have the music video of that one is out. So I think that one that that one. Yeah. I have an EP that I produced. So, I don't know where to start. You're asking me to talk about it, but okay, I'll talk about Lona in Limbo, the first song I released. Before I wrote that song, I thought that I couldn't write. I didn't believe I could write any song. I just felt like I would keep singing people's songs. I kind of had I don't know, imposter syndrome or something. Yeah. So and I went out. And I was with a friend of mine. His name is Ogo. And he's like, "Man, you're so good at this thing. You're good at singing other people's songs, and I think you've conquered that. And I think that you should do write your own song." And I said, "Man, I think if I write, it's going to be trash. I don't think people are going to like what I write." And he said, "You know what? Why not write for you and not for people?" So just
to talk to yourself.
Yes, write for you. Write something that you would listen to and like, and don't think about what other people will like. And that was in 2021. That was in 2021, I guess. think so. So and he and I went home, and I just thought about, okay, you know what, I'm gonna write a song for me, because I know the kind of songs I like, and I want to be very honest in this song. So I took a pen and a paper. Like I said, the guitar thing comes very easy to me. I can play any progression, and I started playing the progression, and the idea came, and I just wrote down stuff about my life. And somehow it just structured itself in, it's kind of chronological. I like to call it stanzas, because there are verses and there are stanzas. So there are stanzas in that song, and it was chronological. And it came very easy. And wow, I wrote that song in about 1 hour, and that was it. I did that, and that was it.
So let's have it.
Okay, so
Your original song.
This is Lona in Limbo.
It's called Lona in Limbo.
My dad actually
Lona in Limbo.
Lona. When I wrote the song, I'm not very good at naming songs, and I sent it to my dad, and he said, "Man, this song is called Lona in Limbo." And I said, "Dad, that's what I'm gonna keep that."
Thanks
name.
to your daddy.
Yeah, my dad. That's you.
Shout out to daddy
Shout out
again.
to you again, Dad. So everything there is true. Well, I've been a crawler. Crawled right out my mama's womb. I crawled fast and I crawled cool, and I crawled everywhere I could. Well, I've been a runner. Back in school I ran for sports, but my legs were far too short, so I came second from behind. Well, I've been a baller. I was the one man in the goalpost till this dude, his name was Jude, fired a shot that broke my wrist. I've been a believer, never looking for the answer, till my mama died of cancer, and a believer turned a griever. So give me away, hey, give me away, hey, give me away, want me to know I'm not alone. Give me away, hey, give me away, hey, give me away, want me to feel like I am home. I've been a lover till my girlfriend left and dumped me, and my heart showed me something that I never known I'd feel. Yeah, man, I've been a performer, sang for the highs and lows alike, for the good times and the bad times, and the titans and the walls. I've been a rambler, I've been a gambler, I've been a dancer, I've been a screamer, I've been a dreamer, I've been everything I know. And now I'm a loner, living simple in my town. As I grow older, life feels colder, but I can smile and I don't frown. So give me away, hey, do you hear from me? Give me away, hey, give me away, I need to know I'm not alone. Give me away, hey, give me away, hey, yeah, give me away, I need to feel like I am home. I need a way to know that I am. Let's go one more time. Give me away, hey, give me away, hey, give me away, I need to know I'm not alone. Give me away, hey, give me away, hey, give me away, I need to feel like I am home. I need a way to know that I am not alone.
I want to do one more.
Amazing. And I'm sure that the song is resonating with a lot of people.
Yes.
A true story.
I like the girlfriend part of that. Were you really dumped?
Man, I was
Or the
dumped.
same?
I was dumped, man.
How hot was the breakfast? Tell us about it.
Man, I think that was the only girl I've ever loved. I think that, we have Rod Stewart said first cut is the deepest.
Yeah.
And I think that's the deepest I've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was instrumental in making me. It's like the furnace that you pass through, alchemy, conversion of the base metals to nobler, to more noble ones like gold and silver, So that was like my process. of becoming me. You know, and I think I would, if I had a chance, I would want it to happen again.
I don't know whether to tell the lady thank you or say something bad.
Well, it's just what it is, you know.
But true story, I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people,
Yes,
you know, from
yes,
your origins till the very
Yeah, I
end.
get
So
that a
what's
lot.
the feedback you're getting?
About the song, right? I get that a lot. You know, I recently a friend of mine, he's Dutch, and he's been a fan for a while, but he just told me that he lost his dad to cancer, and that he's been listening to my song, and that he knows that I can relate to how, you know, to the entire the way what surrounds the cancer thing, and I'm like, yeah, you know that listening to my music, he doesn't feel very alone because he kind of feels like I feel the way he feels, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot, and that's what I believe that as a musician you should always, you know, try to tell the truth because you don't really know how long people are listening for, but whenever anyone tunes in to listen, they should hear the truth. You know, so yeah, so that's what I think, man.
Amazing song, and you know it came from a place of doubt, which you conquered, and you've been able to produce something that is original. But it's not exactly the faith-based poetry that I heard you perform, and I'm hoping that you know that will be your next performance.
Okay, you know, I have a couple of songs. I have like 5 more original. So I don't know the one you.
Okay,
but
me and Bukola
prepared
we're debating. She's looking for one. Me, I'm also looking for another. So
okay.
maybe you pick one of ours and one of mine.
Okay.
One of I don't know which she's picking. So Bukola, pick your own first. Pick yours.
It's a faith-based poetry kind of song that you performed. I must have chanced upon it during your first appearance, or maybe on one of your social media platforms. But talk to us about your ensemble. You did not only reincarnate in terms of country music, but in the entire culture itself.
Oh wow!
So
your outlook.
Your outlook. So talk to us about that.
You know, the thing is, as I feel like, you know, your look should like precede you. You know, normally your reputation precedes you. But what I learned by from doing this thing in Nigeria. If you just come, maybe I came here now and I wear native. It's very, very difficult for you to prepare you for what I'm about to give.
Oh, I get it. I get
so
it.
When you see me, you know what you're expecting, and the atmosphere is you know is prepared. You are ready to receive it. Everybody wants to listen to Afro sometimes, and when you're coming with country, it's like you are, you know. So that's the same thing I did with my look and my name, the countryman. You know, you call me Ochora, fine. Nobody calls me Ochora.
So your stage name is what?
The countryman.
The countryman, yeah.
Okay, in Nigeria we'll call it countryman now.
Yeah, you call it, but it's what it is.
So in Nigeria we're high on producing songs in indigenous language. You are not from the United States of America, certainly not a South American. So are you looking to doing country music in your language?
No.
Why? You just broke my heart.
Because I don't even speak my language. I speak English.
My director wants to know where you're from.
Where?
I'm from Ebonyi State.
Okay.
I grew up in Benin City.
Okay.
You know, but I'm from Ebonyi State. And like I said, my dad, you know, my dad is retired now, so but he was an academic. My mom too. So I grew up in the university environment. You know, so we used to speak English, and you know, my dad is, you know, very learned. You know, so I think we got a lot of that from
You forgot
him.
to speak your local dialect.
But he speaks, you know. But the thing is that I think it also had to do with where we grew up.
Okay.
I didn't grow up in the East. I grew up in Benin City. And the vernacular in Benin City is Pidgin.
Do you have anyone in Pidgin?
No. Okay. I don't even, you know, see, the thing is, I like...
We will stress you.
I like, you know, it's not something that maybe I'm not trying to, it's not something that I'm trying to preclude.
Okay.
Probably, maybe in the future, there's a chance that there might be a native thing in the song, but it's not something that I'm looking to do. I'm actively looking to put in right now. Okay. I'm just going to do it the way I like it. I like, you know, I told you I gave you my Mount Rushmore. I called Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, and Don Williams and Kenny Rogers.
Okay. Yeah, just like the audience, me, I just want to hear you sing. I don't know.
Okay.
Talking is our forte. You're here to.
I don't know the one that you.
So I said Bukola will choose hers. Maybe she wants something faith-based and all of that. Me, I want something
Faith-based,
from Kenny
faith-based,
Rogers
faith-based.
or Don Williams. A popular thing that the audience. Oh, I remember this song when I was young.
Okay, you want
Maybe we have that
Stuck
one.
on You.
But that's not the
Okay.
one I wanted.
Okay.
But
Okay,
you
maybe
can...
play Stuck on You for us.
I'll play Stuck on You for you.
After that, you get Bukola's.
I'll play Stuck on You.
Okay.
Stuck on you, got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't lose. Guess I'm on my way. I needed a friend, had a way I feel now. Guess I'll be with you till the end. Guess I'm on my way. Mighty glad to stay. Stuck on you, been a fool too long. I guess it's time for me to come on home. Guess I'm on my way. So hard to see that a woman like you can wait around for a man like me. Guess I'm on my way. Harder than you stay. Oh, I'm leaving on that midnight train tomorrow. And I know just where I'm going. I packed up my troubles and I've thrown them all away. Cause this time it'll dawn, I'm coming home to stay. I'm stuck on you, got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't lose. Guess I'm on my way. I needed a friend, and a way I feel now. Guess I'll be with you till the end. Guess I'm on my way. I'm mighty glad you stay. That's stuck on you, you know.
So yeah, I know you're owing Bukola a song. So before we get to Bukola's song, what's the future like for you? We always ask that question. Do you have an album already, or you have a body of work?
I have an EP.
You have an EP.
Yeah,
how many songs are in the EP? 5 songs.
Yeah. I just dropped in September 29. I produced it.
That's this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I produced that here in my house. I produce my stuff myself, my content, that stuff you do. So I just thought about it, and why not just do my own stuff, the way it comes to me, and I did everything, and I produced, mixed, mastered it, and it's out there now.
Amazing. So you're acquiring dexterity not just in performance but also in production as well, and that's good. But talk to us about the possibility of collaborations with other artists that will push you further into consciousness.
Well, the thing in my EP, there's a song I did with a guy, my friend. He's an artist too, he's a musician, he's a rapper. And
wow.
Yeah.
Rapper and country music.
The title of the song is Beat of Love. So we grew up, back in Benin.
Benin City.
Yeah, we went to school together. We've known each other since primary school, and he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do something together. And he came around, and we were supposed to do a cover, just something for social media. And I was like, I'm always saying the guitar thing comes easy to me. So I was playing this, and he's like, what song is that? I said, I don't know, I'm just playing, man. And he started writing. He's amazing. He's very good at what he does. So he started writing. And I'm like, man, this guy is writing. I better write my own stuff too. And I wrote my own. And he finished writing before me, and I did the chorus, but he was writing verses, and he wrote his stuff, and we did it together, and went to my studio and did it, and it was nice.
So in terms of the big names, Who would you like to collaborate with?
Nigerian.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that before, to be honest.
Whose music appeals to you?
You must really be a loner.
For me to be able to do what I do right now, you need to block out other things because we passively listen to Afro. It's not something that you actively listen to. You are everywhere. That's what you hear. So you have to actively block it out and channel to something to be able to produce the thing. What you take in is what you give out. So I am in my bubble.
Okay.
That's why I'm able to do what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. So there are sacrifices you have to make. So I know a couple of like Nigerian artists, but I don't really know them very well.
So none resonates with the kind of music that you internalize and produce.
Have you heard of Johnny Drill?
Yes, I know Johnny Drill.
He's a Benin boy, by the way.
I know. He invited me to open for his concert in 2019. So yeah, it was one of the first big platforms I had. So shout out to Johnny Drill actually.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, I could do a song with Johnny Drill.
We're winding down, so maybe the song that Bukola has been stressing that.
And the thing is, I don't even know. Is it the song I did on Sunrise? Okay, you saw it on my social media.
Yeah, I think so.
And you said faith-based, meaning it's like Christian or something.
Yeah, Christian.
I think I did This World Is Not My Home. It was a song by
Okay, maybe you can perform it as well.
Okay, maybe you can perform it.
But
of course, the performance continues after the show. We're still going to keep you here and take full compliment of having you around.
Okay, This World Is Not My Home.
This is Jim Reeves, right?
That's Jim Reeves.
Yeah.
He's a faith-based guy. This world is not my home. I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blues. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. I have a loving mother just hovering glory land, and I don't expect to start until I shake her hand. She's waiting out for me in heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore.
Thank you so much. Amazing. We must clap for you.
Hallelujah.
You gave us free show, and of course, so all our audience, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've been talking with and enjoying the beautiful music from the countryman Ochoira Okogori, the reincarnate of Jim Reeves, whether it's Jim Reeves or Don Williams or Kenny Rogers. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate the good work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, just before we wrap up, let's just bring you some of the tweets. Is it tweets now?
Yeah,
Post
messages.
on X.
Yeah.
Post on X that we didn't take earlier, but you've been talking about the CNG, the fears over the fact that Malaysia is phasing it out next year, and the response of
We're taking that one, Jeffrey. Let's go to the talking point about the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare announcing free cesarean sections for all Nigerian women. And Echoes of Africa is the first user who says, offering free cesarean sections for all Nigerian women is a transformative move that could improve maternal health outcomes nationwide, making life-saving life-saving procedures accessible to those in need. The policy demonstrates a strong commitment to supporting women's health and reducing maternal and infant mortality rates. And I guess that's the point.
Headband says, good news, the price was too high for the average Nigerian to access. I just hope the hospitals will find ways to use it and cash out.
And D-Law says, can they keep up? How would hospitals take inventory of the number of CSs done? And how would they be refunded? Or would there be a CS Impress fund or what? It's good though, the implementation is key.
Okay, so that's exactly how things have panned out today on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. We hope we did entertain you, at least for the end of the show, with a performance from the countryman himself. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour.
And, of course, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week. I'm Bukola Koka.
Bye-bye.